The film opens with the scenes of Nicky Larson. Nicky was a private investigator and a shooter with spot-on aims. His fighting skills were incomparable. The only weakness that would get Nicky in trouble was his nymphomania. He was a strong sex addict. He would easily get distracted by any girl who wore revealing clothes. Along with Nicky, we are also shown Laura, his associate and a very good partner. Laura and Nicky share the same home. The two shared a very irritating relationship. The two keep finding ways to torment each other. Laura gives Nicky a heads up and tells him to get ready as soon as he can because they had to meet their client at a nearby park. On reaching the park, Laura gets sad to see a group of children playing football because she recalls her dead brother, who liked playing football too. Laura's brother was killed by some mob leader last year. We get to see a flashback where Nicky and Laura's brother are seen at a bar. He tells Nicky that the Black Hand, an underground mob, was after him for a long time, and hiding from them for long was not possible. He fears that they have reached closer. Laura's brother and Nicky are seen in the driveway where the mob leader pulls a gun out from his car window and shoots Laura's brother. On his last breaths, Laura's brother asks Nicky to take good care of his sister and keep her safe. It appeared that Nicky and Laura were putting up with each other's miseries because of Laura's brother's last words. Now we get out of the flashback. Nicky and Laura's client finally arrives. He tells his name was Dominique. He introduces Nicky and Laura with his father's handmade perfume formula. He claims that his perfume formula has a magic that attracts people towards the person who's wearing it. And within a 48-hour span, that person permanently gets addicted to you, and that's guaranteed. He also introduces an antidote, which was more of an undo button. If one didn't want their desired person to get attached to them permanently, an antidote was to be used within 48 hours. Nicky finds this some sort of nonsense and scolds the man for deceiving them. Dominique gives him a demonstration while spraying the formula on his wrists. Nicky goes crazy and starts nibbling his wrist like a crazy hyper dog. Dominique uses the antidote and gets rid of Nicky. Nicky still has trouble believing it, so he sprays the formula all over Laura and asks her to go near a strange six-pack boy lying on the grass. As Laura walks towards the six-pack boy, a weird explosion occurs and she falls on the lunatic who was doing weird things with the football kids earlier. That freak sniffs Laura and starts falling for her crazily. Nicky and Dominique come to see if Laura is okay from the explosion. Nicky looks back and finds that the perfume stored case had gone missing. Actually, Nicky and Laura were hired and given the mission to protect the case. Nicky realizes that the case stealer had made an explosion to cause diversion so he could get his hands on the case, which he probably did. Nicky chases the wrong people and reaches a hospital. He fights some local people for about an hour and snatches the case from those poor locals and gets back to his partners. Later, the two are seen handing the perfume stored case to its owner, Dominique. He opens the case and sees someone's magazines and random stuff inside. Nicky's eyes pop out to see grabbing the wrong case. The suitcase had been switched in the park during the commotion. Nicky gets one of his men to do him a favor and find the man that they saw in the park. After running multiple searches and stalking several people, Nicky and Laura reach the man's house. They are shocked to see the scenario. That psycho had taped his family members on the couch and was nowhere to be seen. Actually, the psycho stealer knew about the perfume formula's actual power. He knew the gist of it. As Nicky runs his eyes around the house, he finds photos of Jessica Fox's signed versions. His quick reflexes allow him to assume that the psycho stealer was going to see Jessica Fox tonight while spraying the magic perfume all over him. The psycho was on the loose. Nicky had no traces of him. Luckily, they trace Jessica from her Instagram story and try to stalk her in order to catch the stealer. Nicky and Laura get on a plane flight where they see the lunatic from the park who had fallen for Laura and also see two spies with him. As they get off the plane, Nicky sees a hot cab driver, so he takes a ride from her. That hot girl turns out to be a member of Black Hand who takes them to her boss. They try to get the truth out of Nicky about the perfume. On not telling the truth, they use a truth injection on him and find out everything about the magical perfume. After going through a crazy series of troubles, Laura and Nicky finally reach Jessica's event where the psycho stealer had already pulled his move. With the excuse of taking a selfie with her, he gets her to sniff him. Jessica gets hypnotized with the scent. Nicky and Laura fight the guards to enter the event in disguise. As the two arrive, Jessica has already taken the stealer to her room and gets him on his all fours and makes him do weird stuff. Jessica is told by her manager to go live right away. She tells the stealer to lie in bed as she gets done with her live session. Jessica stands by the window while joining live Instagram. A hater girl sees her standing by the window and throws an obstacle at her. That obstacle hits her and causes her to land in between the naked stealer's crotch on the bed. The main bad guy was handcuffed to her bed and was partially nude. Her live viewers were shocked to see her intimate moments and record her Insta-Live. Seeing the live telecast, Nikki reaches Jessica's room. He tries to get the stealer to tell him the magical perfume's whereabouts. The hater girl throws something again. This time it hits the psycho and causes him to faint. Trouble gets doubled up when Jessica's bodyguard smashes her locked door. Nikki manages to escape with the entire bed to which the psycho was handcuffed. He ties the bed with a rope that is attached to his car. He starts driving away from the location. Now, from the past troublemakers and some perfume seekers, Nikki's car gets invaded from both sides. Two different gangs give Nikki indeed a very tough time. Dodging his whole way out, he finally reaches somewhere safe with the psycho. Nikki gets him to spill the beans and tell him the magical perfume's whereabouts. The psycho spills that he had stored the perfume back in his hotel room where he was staking out. On their way to retrieve the perfume case, Nikki and Laura get into an argument where Laura takes the car and drives away. Nikki finally reaches the hotel and retrieves the antidote. On calling Laura for backup, another man responds from her phone. It was a guy from the Black Hand gang. He threatens Nikki to get the perfume straight to his location or else he will have Laura killed by his people. Nikki reaches the location to save Laura, where he finds her trapped in a belt that could explode her on getting out of a certain radius. Laura sprays her neck with a formula because she wanted Nikki to fall for him. That perfume, however, does not work on Nikki. Jessica's psycho lover and the lunatic from the park both reach the same location to take revenge from Nikki for causing troubles in the past. The duo gets back together to fight all their enemies. Laura and Nikki literally roast everyone with their rifles. There was no way for Laura to get out of the belt. Nikki somehow gets the belt from Laura and wears it. He asks her to run away. Crying and sobbing in the car, Laura sees another one of her loved ones dying. She goes back to Dominique the next morning and hands him over his perfume. Laura notices the same tattoos on his hands that were on all Black Hand members' hands. On pointing out, Dominique confesses that he intentionally put Laura and Nikki on this wild goose because he wanted her to find her brother's murderer, whom he was having disputes with, and kill him. Laura reveals that she was playing all along as she shows her bare chest with a wire taped to it. The police hear him confess and catch him. The man makes Laura her hostage and asks the police to back off. We see Nikki's entry where he uses his spot-on shooting skills to shoot Dominique's hand in which he had the gun. The police save Laura. We find out that Nikki had not died in the gangster's place because he got one of the gangsters on his good side. As they destroy the perfume and send Dominique to the jail, Nikki and Laura meet the actual Dominique, who gives them a little shot of magical perfume which was left. They use that little shot on the fake Dominique when he's in prison with very giant criminals. They start to feel attracted to Dominique and start coming at him. With the chaos, the film ends.